It's 24 minutes now after 7 o'clock. Time for us to turn the pages of our next chapter, a book written by Pamela Haynes, who is a former senior probation officer. She's also an author. In 2018, she would have published the book Loving the Brothers. In 2022, she's just published the book Loving the Sisters. What is it about? She joins us now to talk about it. Pamela, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
You are very welcome. This is the follow-up to Loving the Brothers, released in 2018. This Loving the series, talk to me a little bit about the decision to have this series of books.
Yes, it's going to be a trilogy. So we start off with Loving the Brothers, and well, that sets the scene really. And the second book is here. She's here. She was born on the 27th of July, so very new. And it took me 2 years to pen that book. And I spent the next 2 years trying to find a publisher. I did so in January 2022. And I'm excited for readers to find out what happens next. So I left everybody on a massive cliffhanger, and they get to find out the next installment. I'm writing Loving the Children at the moment, which will finish the trilogy.
Okay, the trilogy, Loving the Brothers, Loving the Sisters, then to come, Loving the Children. And so you're writing these series of books from your experience, not your personal experience necessarily in terms of it being your life, but because of what you did. So how did what you do for a living in some way encourage you to write what you've written?
Yes, I've worked in the criminal justice system in the UK for over 30 years. I was based, mainly court-based, at most of the courts in North East London, including Snaresbrook Crown Court. And I also spent a spell as a program facilitator for the domestic abuse program here in the UK, where I was working with perpetrators of domestic abuse. I also worked for victim support and worked with victims and survivors of domestic abuse. So I was on the receiving end of hundreds and hundreds of stories from perpetrators and survivors. Very often, those men who were perpetrators were also victims of domestic abuse when they were children. Obviously, for confidentiality, I can't use their stories, but so I decided to pen something that was fiction, and it more or less stemmed from there. So the theme of domestic abuse and how the women come together and support each other runs through all three books.
This one, Loving the Sisters, the latest in this trilogy, the second release in the trilogy, speaks to the experience of these ladies from Jamaica. Why based there? And tell us the characters and their personalities so we get to understand what they've been through.
Absolutely. The stories are based in two places. So it's about women who are living in the UK. It's about their experiences in the UK, but an occasion in the book causes them to travel to Jamaica, and the story picks up when they're based in Negril. It's where the women meet for the first time. I decided to do that because I've been blessed to go to Jamaica at least twice. And I think that I can promote the positive aspects of that beautiful island. But there are a couple of fiery Bajan women who are in the books as well. I've got Veronica, who must be in her 70s by now, who really gives some old school Bain proverbs and knowledge and wisdom to the book. And I also have a fiery Bajan woman called Antoinette, who is a barrister, who, again, supports the women around what the legal framework is about and what they need to consider before they make their exit plan. So, that's really, in a nutshell, what the books are about. I wanted to demonstrate that domestic abuse can happen to any woman at any time of her life, but the most important bit is how the women come together, support each other, and get to the next stage of their lives.
So you've been able, in the book, Loving the Sisters, to be able to tell a story, fictional though it is, but yet still weave into it some fact about how they can pull themselves out of this using the law, using past experiences and so forth. So it's a good blend of truth and fiction.
Oh, absolutely. Because it's set in London, I talk about real places. There are a few real people in the books as well, which people really like. There are local heroes in the book. And yeah, the books look at how the women can support each other, but in real life. I think it gives a good sense of how women carry themselves and what their life experiences are in the UK.
One of the lines in the book, you say, by far the riskiest time of any woman in a violent relationship is when she decides to escape. Why is that the riskiest time?
Because it's a time that if the man finds out, because very
That there's a
often it's
plan.
male violence. Yeah, if he finds out that there is a plan to leave, it can put her life at risk. It can also put the life of her children at risk as well. So it's a very brave act, and I mean I understand why some women don't leave, because it's a very scary time period to decide you want to exit and have an exit plan. So if you're going to leave a domestic abuse situation, you have to plan how you're going to do that to keep yourself and to keep your children safe. So, which is why I support the charity in Barbados. I'm one of the ambassadors for Advocates Against Domestic Abuse. And Barbara and her colleagues work tirelessly to keep women and their children safe in Barbados who are escaping a toxic relationship. Many people say, well, why don't they just leave? But it's not a case of just leaving. There are a number of reasons why women can't. And at all times, they have to keep in mind their own personal safety as well. And that's why I just love the work that Barbara does. And I try to support her and her team the best way I can.
You said too that loving the sisters is about love, sisterhood, and loyalty. Love, sisterhood, and loyalty. And while we oftentimes think that's easy for women to do, women tend to hurt very quickly, very easy. That's easy, but it's not always easy because not all people see things in quite the same way. So in facing domestic violence, finding oneself in that situation or wanting to escape that, how is your book going to help using the themes love, sisterhood, and loyalty to help that woman who finds herself trapped right now but is on the cusp of seeking to escape?
Well, I would say what tends to happen, I can only speak for the UK, that when a woman meets a new man, her friends tend to fall back. Well, I don't want to be the third person in the loop, or, she has a partner now. And in my opinion, that's when we should be stepping up to find out what this man is all about. And because they may not be who they pretend that they're going to be. And also there are a number of red flags, and very often trying to cut the woman off from her friends and isolate her from friends and family tends to be one of the main tactics that gets used. So I would argue that if you have a woman that's seeing a brand new partner, still have girly times together, still go out and about and support each other and just be there for that woman. I mean, I think that's what true sisterhood and friendship is all about.
It sounds like a really good read. Loving the Sisters by Pamela Haynes, that's her name. So Pamela, for those watching today who are thinking, I need to read this book, not only because they see them or hear themselves being discussed, but because they're curious as to what to do should the situation meets them, where can one get a copy of the book?
Well, the book is available on Amazon.com for the Caribbean, and Barnes & Noble. It's there as well. I'm hoping to work with Chattel House Books like I did last time for them to stock the book and pages at Bridgetown Duty Free. So hopefully the books will be available there soon as well. But for the time being, it's mainly online at Amazon.
Yeah, I really want to encourage people to get the book, indeed. Loving the Sisters by Pamela Haynes. You see the three sisters there? Patty, Charmaine, and Rose. Those girls have a story to tell, indeed. They look sassy, but sometimes, the picture is not as pretty as it appears. And so how do they now restore to beautiful pictures, indeed, is what you can find when you turn the pages of Loving the Sisters, indeed, by Pamela Haynes. Pamela Haynes, as always, thank you so much again for joining us. We can't wait for Loving the Children, the third in the trilogy, to be released. Are you already engaged in that? That's already in progress?
Yes. I'm on chapter 3. I'm excited about creating new characters. and new spaces and new plot twists. Yeah, I'm very excited for loving the children, because as we know, domestic abuse impacts on children also.
Whether they receive it themselves or they're just part of it as well. So thank you so much. I wish you the very best with this series of books, Loving the Brothers, now Loving the Sisters, to come, Loving the Children by Pamela Haynes. Find it, folks, at all of those bookstores we just talked about, Barnes & Noble, and soon to be available here in Barbados, but on Amazon as well. All the best, Pamela. Thank you so much for joining us from the UK.
Thanks for having me. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Bye now.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning.